You're listening to Strange by Nature, your guide to the strange, weird, unbelievable, and improbable wonders of the natural world.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for being here today. I am Kirk Mona, and I am joined today by Rachel Ginza and Victoria Thompson. We are all professional naturalists who together have scoured the world for weird and wonderful wonders just to please your mammalian brain's desire for novelty. Isn't that nice? Let's do this. I want to take you on a little journey here, okay? We're going to go back to July 31st, 2015.
All right.
So not that long ago. It's a hot summer day in East Texas. And a man who, as far as I could discover, did not want his name released to the public.
Excellent.
For reasons that shall become apparent, is hanging out on his property, and he decides to go get his .38 revolver.
Oh, no.
Why?
I don't like the direction this is going.
Well, to shoot an armadillo, of course.
No, that poor armadillo.
Now, look, I have no idea why a person would want to shoot an adorable little armadillo. When asked later why he shot at this armadillo, the man apparently said something along the lines of, well, because he had seen it earlier. Which,
oh, wait. Can I guess what happens?
No, you cannot. I can only conclude that he was the kind of guy that takes pleasure in, just shooting animals for fun. If that sort of thing horrifies you, don't tune away. Keep listening. Spoiler alert, the armadillo survives.
Holy moly, what?
Okay.
So our mystery man pulls out the .38 and fires off 3 rounds at the armadillo. One of the rounds, I'm going to assume the third one, ricochets off the armadillo's hard exterior, flies back at the man, and strikes him in the jaw.
Yeah.
That's what I thought was going to happen.
There you go.
I mean, I didn't know jaw specifically, but...
I was hoping another part of his anatomy, but
Oh, yeah. No, we're not going back to the bobbit fish thing from earlier here.
Yikes.
So it must have been a pretty bad scene because he actually had to be airlifted to a hospital where they ended up, and this may be my favorite part of the story, I'm sorry, they ended up wiring his jaw shut while it healed.
That sucks.
So this is one of those instant karma situations, and yes, I know, someone got shot in the face, and yes, I am okay with that. What's perhaps even weirder though is that this was not the only armadillo involved shooting in 2015.
There were more than one.
In Georgia, a man that we have a name for, it was 54-year-old Larry McElroy. He decided to take a shot at an armadillo with his 9mm. And I want to examine the details of what happened here, okay? He shot at this armadillo. It supposedly ricocheted off the armadillo, hit a fence, ricocheted off the fence, went through a wood door of a mobile home, and then through a recliner and hit his mother-in-law in the back, who was sitting in the recliner.
Wow. So
there's a lot going on there.
Okay. Wow. So the door must have been really weak.
Yeah, I gotta imagine.
I mean,
I had the exact same thought. This has got to be like a hollow core door. This is not
You said a trailer,
2 inches
right?
of oak or something, right? Yeah, it was.
If it ricocheted,
it's a trailer,
it had already lost momentum by ricocheting off an armadillo shell and a fence, and yet it managed to penetrate a door and a recliner.
Well,
right.
Trailers aren't known for being the most stable of places.
That is also true.
Robust. Yeah.
So I have some problems with this story.
This doesn't feel quite right, just having taught.
Right.
Gun safety and everything.
There's a few things in that department that are wrong about this. But yeah, here's one problem with the story. The armadillo died. Which to me does not make a whole lot of sense.
Mm-hmm.
If it's so heavily armored that a 9mm bullet just bounces right off it, why did it die in this story? Well, armadillos do have armor. It's not Kevlar or steel.
Mm-hmm.
It's basically like a thick leather over a layer of not all that thick bone. And this is basically like a turtle shell. You know what I mean? If you shoot a turtle with a 9mm, it's going straight through the turtle.
Yeah.
I have no experience with this, but I'm very certain of that. In this case, what I'm guessing actually happened is that the bullet pierced all the way through the armadillo, then hit a fence. It doesn't say what it's made out of. I'm assuming it might have even been a metal fence. And then it, flew back, probably went through a very thin door and through a recliner. I even have some doubts about that. It's like,
yeah, that's a
something
lot
went
of
wrong and
places.
someone's like, oh, I was shooting at an armadillo. That's why I shot my mother-in-law. I,
Right.
The wife can't get
never
mad at you now.
underestimate. Yeah, never underestimate the human part of these stories and the fact that people don't always tell the truth. So
You shock me.
I'm also guessing that our story of the good old boy in Texas is, alas, also likely not the whole story. What is more likely? That this guy fires off 3 bullets, and apparently 2 of them miss the armadillo. One of them hits the armadillo and ricochets off and hits the guy in the jaw. Or this guy shot 3 shots at an armadillo. They all missed, and one of them hit a rock and ricocheted back at him.
I'm more willing to accept the rock.
Yeah.
Just from what I know about where you point guns and everything. No rocks.
I don't know much about guns at all, but based on what I know of physics, that seems more plausible.
Yeah, it's not a very good story, though. I did try to look up statistics on ricochet injuries, and turns out they're not officially kept in this country. But even a quick Google search will turn up many stories every year about people being injured by bullets that have ricocheted. It's not common, but with all the guns and all the bullets being fired, statistically, it is going to happen every year. These particular ricochet stories, I think, made the news because they had this fantastical instant karma angle to them that you wouldn't get if someone just shot a rock. You know what I mean? Like the idea of this, armadillo magically protecting itself is pretty awesome. And again, it just wouldn't have made the news if it was like, local man shoots rock, injures self. It's not quite as sensational.
See, that last one sounds more like a Florida man type thing.
It does.
Yes.
It does. Now, armadillos are amazing and awesome animals. So let's talk about armadillos, all right? Their name means little armored one. And in Spanish, they are relatives of both anteaters and sloths, which is very cool. Or for our UK listeners, that's sloth, I believe you guys say.
Really?
What?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Sorry, UK listeners, that's weird.
Yep. They think we're weird too, I'm sure. There are 9 species of armadillo still alive, and others known from the fossil record. They originated in South America, which is where most of them are still found today. Now, the 9-banded armadillo has been expanding its range in North America. They're found from Texas over to North Carolina, and then they've been seen as far north as the southern parts of Nebraska.
What?
And they're southern Nebraska. They've been continuing to expand their range, and especially with global warming, they are eventually expected to be found in southern Ohio, Illinois, Pennsylvania, basically all the way around those, Great Lakes states. They think that the southern part of those states will eventually have armadillos in them, which is pretty wild.
Yeah.
The 9-banded is one of the larger armadillos out there. They're about 2 feet long and weigh about 15 pounds. So, basically kind of house cat size. Like I said, though, many of them are smaller. And one of my favorites is called the screaming hairy armadillo.
I'm here for it. Let's go. Does it scream? Is it hairy?
It's mostly my favorite because it's called the screaming hairy armadillo. And it's an awesome name. But it's also super cute. It's like a hairy armadillo, and they look really snuggly and cute. Although apparently, yes, they do scream if you pick them up. So
can you imitate the scream for us?
Unfortunately, I haven't heard it. I don't want to hear it because I think it would ruin my impression of if it's not like, I want it to be like a good scream, and if it's just like then that's like it would make me think less of them. I'm sorry. So I want it to be like a blood piercing scream. So I did not actually find a video online. I should have. That would have been good. There's another small one, the pink fairy armadillo. Pink fairy armadillo.
I'm here for it.
It's a great name. It's I know pictures I saw, it was not quite as cute. They're only 5 or 6 inches long though, so they are really tiny.
That's so teeny.
Yeah, really cute and tiny.
It's like a The rat-sized armadillo.
Yeah. Ooh, armored rat does not sound
No.
as cute though. The biggest out there is the giant armadillo, which can get 59 inches long, which, listeners, is longer than my 5'4" and ready co-host Rachel is tall.
Yay! Another thing that's bigger than me.
Now, for those, they usually weigh about 50 pounds, and there are records of them weighing about up to 119 pounds in the wild, though, from some that have been caught
Holy
in a wave.
moly.
They are amazing. These giant armadillos have more teeth than any other mammal on Earth. They have
How many teeth?
up to 100.
Absolutely
Shut the front
not.
door.
Oh, yeah. Yep, a lot of teeth. And relative to body size, they have the longest claws of any animal. You want to guess how long their claws are?
A foot.
Oh, I'm a little scared too.
Well, not quite that.
8 inches.
Oh, good. 8.7
Nice.
inches, Victoria. Yeah. very
Score!
nice. Now, sadly, they are threatened with extinction. They are a source of meat, and farmers sometimes kill them for digging up their fields. They also have a low birth rate. All these things combine to make them really vulnerable. I'm really hoping they won't be wiped out, because much like beavers in North America, studies have found that they are crucial to shaping the habitat and making it suitable to many other species. So they really are.
Which part of South America do they live in?
I believe the giant ones are found in like Argentina type region.
Okay.
So that's what I got for you this week. Armadillos, they are amazing animals. Stop shooting them.
Can I add an armadillo factoid that I know? They are one of the only animals besides humans that can be infected with leprosy.
That's what I was gonna say, Victoria. Nice. They're so fun, though.
Well, thanks for adding that little fact in, Victoria. Rachel, we need to hear from you, and you're coming up next after the break. Kirk here with a quick note. If you're enjoying the show, be sure to subscribe and leave a 5-star review. It helps other lovers of the strange find our show. You can also find and follow us on social media. Search for Strange by Nature Podcast on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, or come visit us at strangebynaturepodcast.com. We'll see you there. Now, back to the show.
Alrighty. Well, this week, it's springtime as of the recording of this. And I've thought about this topic a lot recently. And it's something that we're teaching right now with our classes. So in the springtime, what is a topic that we're teaching a lot of right about now in our classes as naturalists?
Teach a lot about flowers in the springtime.
Flowering plants, yeah.
All right. What about insects?
What's
What's something
them?
that we all touch about? That we all touch on, but maybe we don't know the intricacies of.
I mean, there's a lot about
Amphibians go
insects
through
that
it.
we kind of...
Oh, metamorphosis?
Yes.
Ah,
So
all right.
this week I'm talking about metamorphosis.
nice.
Oh.
Just because it's totally bizarre. Just the fact that I'm going to be more focusing on invertebrate metamorphosis and insect metamorphosis than
Okay.
amphibian. Mainly because as weird as amphibian metamorphosis is, it's a little easier to observe.
I agree.
Whereas insect metamorphosis, once they go in that cocoon, have you ever wondered what's going on in that cocoon? Because I
Oh,
have.
yeah.
Oh, yes, I have. Enlighten us,
So,
Rachel.
here we go. So a lot of different creatures, like we said, use it. And I do have a social media challenge for all of our listeners. Send us photos or comment what kinds of creatures you know of that go through metamorphosis. Send us pictures, post pictures, use hashtag metamorphosis and hashtag strange by nature, and it'll be great. So the basis that I'm going to use, since we're all used to it, and it's the one that comes to a lot of people's brains, is the caterpillar to butterfly metamorphosis, just because this one is clearer. So once the caterpillar hatches from the egg, their main job as a larva is to eat. They're going to eat and eat and eat. And as they eat, they're going to be molting as they grow bigger and bigger and bigger. So they're going to be shedding their skin as they keep going. This is actually really important that they eat so much, because in some insects, the larva stage is the only stage where they have actual mouth parts, which means that they're unable to eat once they're an adult. Their only job as an adult in that case would be to mate, lay eggs, and then die.
Correct, yep.
A good example of this would be the Cecropia moth. And because it doesn't have working mouth parts or digestive system, they're alive for about 2 weeks.
The adults are in their adult stage. They're alive for 2 weeks.
Yes, once they're in the adult stage, they're alive for 2 weeks. One day, once the larva or caterpillar gets big enough, it's like, all right, I'm done. And it finds a good spot to anchor itself and just to either hang or attach itself to a leaf. And it begins spinning its pupa or chrysalis. Usually it begins at its butt end, and it's secreting the compounds to create that cocoon. Or in this case, in scientific terminology, this is the pupa stage. Once it is fully cocooned, there are enzymes that are released that literally digest itself in. Like, digest all of the tissues. It's becoming larva soup.
It's so weird.
I have to say, Rachel, I had this topic on my list. I think I wrote it down as something like caterpillar chrysalis goo, and then
yes,
you've taken it. So well done.
Thank you. Yeah, I've been thinking about it a lot today.
I think, Rachel, most people who haven't heard about this topic before would probably assume that inside that cocoon or the chrysalis for a butterfly, that you would have the animal just sort of slowly changing bit by bit, maybe growing some wings and things, but
no,
most people don't realize that it just becomes gooified in there.
So it's literally digesting all of those tissues, and it becomes literally larva soup. That is what I've seen all over. That's what scientists kind of refer to it as, just soup. And it's obviously is super protein rich. However, it doesn't completely dissolve all of the tissues. It uses something what remains is something called imaginal discs. And those are pretty much just these little tiny discs that are the base of all of the adult parts. These are already in the caterpillar from birth, but they're kind of just hanging around. They're in the general location where they will be. And once it becomes this goo, the caterpillar uses the protein-rich goop to use as energy to elongate and stretch these imaginal discs that have all of the body parts ready to go that just need to be spread out.
Wow.
To create its new adult form. And this can take anywhere from a week, or as little time as a week, I should say, because, oh my gosh, that's just becoming a goo, and then all of a sudden you're an adult.
Right. If I dissolve my whole body in goo, it would take a little while to put it back together.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. And then it changes into that adult form, which is already coded into its DNA. And then once it's big enough and has fully developed, it emerges. And it breaks through, usually using the butterfly analogy or example. It uses the proboscis and its antenna and legs to kind of break through. First, of course, the outside actually darkens and weakens the cocoon, so it's actually able to break out. Sometimes this can take years.
Years, wow.
Yeah. There's some
We should probably maybe clarify for our listeners the difference between a chrysalis and a cocoon, because we've been throwing those terms around without really specifying which is which.
That's fair. So a chrysalis is specific to butterflies. Generally speaking, they're hanging on some sort of plant material where they're more or less sheltered. A cocoon is more a moth. So those are moth specific rather than butterflies.
And a cocoon is generally spun out of silk
Yes.
that the moth makes, whereas a chrysalis is sort of formed from the caterpillar's body more directly.
Exactly.
Right. And the movie Cocoon in the 1980s was very different than the movie Chrysalis, which I don't think... I don't know if there was a movie Chrysalis, right?
Yeah, so it was very different.
There's a movie that we don't need to see again.
That's fair. While all of this is happening, the pupa on the inside, it's still an insect. It's just in a different stage. It's in the pupa stage. It's actually breathing through... It's still breathing. It's still getting oxygen. There are small tubes that are connected to the outside of the pupa that allow it to breathe. And this is more butterfly specific.
Hold on a moment. Are you saying the goo is breathing?
Yes.
Really?
Not necessarily Yeah. So not necessarily like the goo itself, but it still needs oxygen exchange.
Okay.
So because of that, there are small tubes that bring in oxygen from the outside of the pupa.
That is amazing.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. And then once it emerges as an adult, it goes off and does whatever it needs to in its adult life.
Right. It's such an amazing story.
Yeah.
I'm sure if you were that first person to, cut open one of those chrysalis or a cocoon and be like, wait, hold on, what? This is just goo.
How does it do that?
And we still don't know very much. Like, scientists have just been able to get the technology to be able to see into the chrysalis without actually damaging it, so they can see as it progresses and develops through. Because otherwise, you're just breaking it open and there's nothing more that's going to happen after that.
Right. And I remember when I first heard this story many, many years ago, it was a complete liquefaction and there was nothing left, And obviously, over time, as they've studied it more, they've kind of backtracked a bit and said, well, okay, hold on. There are some structures in here, that were not apparent at the first. So it's definitely something that they are bit by bit unraveling and learning more about.
Mm-hmm. That's what I've got for you both today.
Awesome.
Thanks
Thank
so
you
much.
so much. All right. After the break, I will be...
It's Victoria.
Yay. All right. So I've mentioned on the show a couple of times that I am a mom of twins, a boy and a girl. They're currently about 2.5, and might even hear them in the background right now. They're being a little loud. But maybe that experience is what drew me to this topic. I am talking today about superfetation.
What?
What?
Yes. So this is when a multiple...
You got us. What is that?
It's when a multiple pregnancy occurs with fetuses at different stages of development due to the eggs being fertilized like weeks apart.
Oh my.
What?
Okay, I have heard of this. I'm not familiar with that term.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Are you saying that you can get pregnant while pregnant?
Well,
Yeah.
we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about it. So just a quick review of a normal pregnancy in humans, or normal twin pregnancy. So twin fetuses can either be monozygotic, which is where one egg is fertilized by one sperm, and then the egg splits in two and separates, leading to identical twins, which they have the same DNA, they have to be the same sex at birth. Or they can be dizygotic, where there are two separate eggs released by the ovaries at the same time, fertilized by two different sperm, and those develop into fraternal twins, who are no more alike than any other two siblings of the same parents.
And Rachel, you said...
That was me.
There you go.
Yeah,
That's right.
and those are my twins, too, because boy and girl, they have to be fraternal.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
The amount of times I get the question, are you identical? Is insane.
Yeah.
They're like, no, my brother looks different than I do.
Mm-hmm.
Especially certain parts of the body.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, their hair is totally different.
Yes, that's what I
Also,
meant.
he's 6 foot. So there's that.
And you're itty bitty.
Maybe.
You just called her witty bitty.
I'm 5'4" and ready.
Actually, 5'4" is a perfectly average height for an American.
Very
female.
average height, yeah.
So, superfetation is a little bit controversial. There have been confirmed cases in other mammals, although it is not clear if it occurs as a regular reproductive strategy in any mammal. Human cases are, let's say, unusual. So, normally after an embryo, or two in the case of twins, implants in the uterus, the uterine lining changes to make it really difficult for another embryo to implant again. And in addition, the cervix will develop this mucus plug, which blocks additional sperm from entering the uterus. Now, it is not unusual for twins to be born with one being significantly larger than the other. And, because of this, it might be tempting to think that they're truly at different stages of development at different ages. But most of the time, this is actually due to other factors. So one major one that happens a lot is twin-to-twin transfusion syndrome. And that can occur when twins, usually identical twins, share a placenta. And basically one twin starts hogging the bulk of the blood flow. However, there have been in recent years a couple actually documented cases of superfetation occurring in people. So in 2020, a woman in England became pregnant, and she was confirmed having a single baby through an early ultrasound. And she went back a few weeks later, and surprise, there was another fetus, which appeared to be about 3 weeks smaller.
Sounds like my worst nightmare.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that there was some celebrating at that house that...
And she wound up giving birth. She gave birth a little early due to some issues, but anyway, that both of the twins survived. Here's the catch, though: she had been taking a fertility drug that increases ovulation.
Okay, here we go.
Yeah, so doctors aren't sure, but they think it's quite possible that may have had something to do with what happened. Another recent case, I think it was 2017, there was a white American woman who had a black husband, and she was acting as a surrogate mother for a Chinese couple. You with me so far?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Sure.
And she had a twin pregnancy. She did not see the babies after they were born because they were whisked away to their parents, right?
Right.
But she got this text a month later, right as the family was about to fly back to China. And it showed a picture of babies that did not look at all alike. And one looked Chinese and the other looked like a biracial black and white baby.
Wow.
So DNA testing confirmed that the second baby was genetically the child of the American couple.
Wow.
And they were able eventually to get custody of this child.
Right.
Uh-huh.
Uh,
That was my next question. Like, what do you do in that situation?
Very awkward. But in this case, also, it's possible, if you're doing surrogate pregnancy, you have to take a whole bunch of drugs to deal with that.
Right.
And so it's possible that somehow led to increased chance of a second embryo implanting. We don't know for sure.
Sure.
So, fertility drugs, maybe whatever. However, it also appears in some recent research that there are a significant number of women that may actually ovulate more than once per cycle. And basically, scientists had just never tested this before, but they did this study of, I don't know, it was like 60 women, and a third of them released more than one egg.
Wow, that is statistically quite a lot.
Yeah,
That's
I may
so
be misremembering the numbers there because I didn't write it down. But
well, 20% of all statistics are made up on the spot.
absolutely. So if that's something that is actually that widespread, you can imagine that might lead to more superfetation. But in this case, the embryos would only be a few days to like maybe a week apart.
Right.
And would you even notice? Something to consider
really.
is before ultrasound existed.
You'd think that twins would be way more common then too, if it was that common.
Right. Well, I guess the question would be like how many cases of fraternal twins that already exist might be just like that slightest
separated by a week or something.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
But you would never have known before ultrasound technology. There would be no way to confirm this. And it's only relatively recently that they started using ultrasounds early in pregnancy. So we just don't know. But, as time goes on, we may see more of these cases getting confirmed. And as assisted reproductive technologies like surrogacy and ovulation drugs, increase, we may see increased chance of that happening. So more cases in the future to come, possibly.
Wow.
I mean, really cool. Still sounds like my worst nightmare.
Well,
Other
even
than
finding
twins.
out about normal twins is a bit of a shock, let me tell you.
Yeah, I believe that. See, what I like to say is, and Josh, if you're listening, I love you, but it's true. I was on purpose. Josh was the surprise baby.
Oh, I see.
I was born first.
You were born first. Okay, that's what I was saying. Yeah,
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay.
So you'll always have that.
Exactly.
Now, see, I'm a second child, so it wasn't a twin, but I always go with the line. My parents believed in the old saying, "If at first you don't succeed, try again."
That's a good one.
Solid.
All right, thanks everybody.
Yeah, see you next week.
Thanks everyone for listening to today's show. Be sure to subscribe. New episodes drop every Wednesday, and we love sharing this strange world with all of our listeners. If you would be so kind as to leave us a 5-star review, that would be great. It lets other lovers of the strange discover the show. You can reach out to us on social media by searching for Strange by Nature Podcast on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. You can send us an email as well. Our address is contact@strangebynaturepodcast.com. If you want more information about the show, you can also check out our website, which is strangebynaturepodcast.com. Until next week, get outside, stay curious, and embrace the strange.
I got called itty bitty.
Was it itty bitty or witty bitty or?
I think it was witty bitty.
That's good. You're witty but small. Is that what that means?
I'm down for that.
Witty bitty.
Mm-hmm.